Just outside the realm of the mundane is a universe of mysteries beyond comprehension. A doorway of discovery is opened for the few willing souls who wish to perceive it and take a leap into the great unknown. This is the show hosted by two such willing explorers, willing to sail the uncharted seas of the unexplained. And now, the Lewis and Clark of the supernatural, the Buck and Tweaky of the bizarre, the Paunch and John of mystery. This is Jason and Steve's Unconventional.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional. The Jersey Devil.
Yeah, Jersey Devil. So
About that Jersey Devil. Yeah.
This is a cryptid that's been reported to inhabit the Pine Barrens area of New Jersey, which is in the southeastern part of the state, which I guess is right above Atlantic City. It's described as a flying biped with hooves, which is kind of interesting, I suppose. Typically, it has a horse head, bat wings, forked tail. It makes a blood-curdling scream that causes fear and panic, which is kind of reminiscent of the whole Mothman thing.
Yeah.
Not the scream, but the fear and the panic.
Well, the Mothman had a high-pitched screech, too.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Interesting.
You forgot. You're getting senile.
Yeah, and throughout its history, it's reported to kill all sorts of domestic and feral animals, dogs, cats, cattle, and others.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Ed McMahon. I feel kind of like this third wheel.
Oh. Right you are, sir.
So, haven't they been seeing this thing for upwards of 300 years?
Oh, yeah. This goes way, way back.
I mean, like the natives before the whitey came over? And
Actually, it's interesting that you bring that up because originally this area had kind of an interesting history itself. The Native Americans that lived there before it was colonized called it Papusing, and I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong, but it literally means the place of dragons in Lenape.
Oh, I'm thinking that's probably Lenape, but I don't know for sure.
Lenape?
That just sounds right.
I like Lenapes, like tacos.
And those gyros from Greece.
Tortillas,
yeah. Okay, we'll go with that.
Anywho.
That's Buryan pronunciation.
Hey, the trailer park transformations, yeah.
Who am I to question your culture?
Yeah, that's right, damn it.
Diversity. We celebrate that in Seattle.
My fine redneck heritage. You have offended me, sir.
I do apologize. Continue.
You now owe me a box of macaroni and cheese and some Pabst Blue Ribbon. When the Swedish explorers got there, for whatever reason, they called the area Drakekill, which means the Dragon River, if you speak Orgiborg.
Oh, Orgiborg, yes. That's Rose's dialect from Golden Girls. Don't ask me why I know that, because if I watch Golden Girls, I might as well just, go to the... I might as well just go to the Pride Parade at that point. As a participant, I mean, on a float wearing a butterfly costume. It's because my wife watches it, and I have watched some of them, and I do know that, never mind. It's Betty White, and never mind. She's supposed to be this Norwegian. Go ahead.
Blame your wife, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, when the English settlers got there, they called the area Pine Barrens, which remains to this day, and they considered the place so spooky and creepy that it was mostly shunned. As they colonized it, the area became a haven for people that didn't want to be found, like deserters, criminals, religious dissenters, loyalists. And these folks became known as the Pineys and the Pine Robbers. So basically, 300 years ago, the first trailer park in the United States was set up.
I see. I can picture it now.
Yeah, but I just thought it was interesting that both of the Indians and the Swedish and the English and the people that lived there all kind of found the place creepy. And the whole Pineys thing is creepy, like all these Appalachian type guys inbreeding to heck. And I can't really blame Appalachian. I mean, I'm sure some of that goes on in White Center and Burien out here too.
Oh, and many suburban
Any
areas
place with a trailer.
all around this great nation.
So the common origin story of the Jersey Devil, or the Leeds Devil as it's also known, is that there was a woman named Mother Leeds. Some have identified her as Deborah Leeds, and her husband Japhet Leeds, and they had 12 children as written in a will in 1736, and they lived in that area of New Jersey, the Pine Barrens area. And some folks say that she was a witch and that the father was in fact a devil.
Of course, back then everyone was a witch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unless you didn't sink or didn't burn or didn't choke to death or whatever the test was.
Yeah.
Then you were innocent.
Yeah.
Continue.
And so this couple already had 12 children, and rumor has it that Mr. Leeds was a drunk and a ne'er-do-well, and that when she got pregnant with the 13th child, she cursed it, saying, "Let this one be a devil."
Oh, I can totally see that as a sci-fi original movie.
I know, it gets worse. It gets so cliche here.
The storm and her like raising her fist to the ceiling, lit by flashes of lightning. Curse you! Curse you! Yeah. Shatner in drag, dressed up like a pilgrim woman. Okay.
So the story goes that in 1735, on a stormy night, she was in labor, surrounded by family and friends, and that the child was born normal, but before their very eyes, it changed into a creature, and then scampered up the chimney and flew off.
So it flew away.
Yeah, that's the most popular story, is that she cursed the 13th child, and that when it was born, it turned into the creature and flew off.
Okay. Well, I don't know why they always bring up these. It's like the Chief Cornstalk and the Mothman. You know, it's like these silly. Legend has it, youngin', that back in the day, and it's just some silly tale that clearly has no basis in any, even remotely in any kind of factuality. It's just like total folklore.
That totally sounded like the opening scene of The Fog.
What did?
Back in the days, youngin'.
You know, I haven't even watched that movie before.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, surprisingly. I saw like the beginning of it on TV, and then
You're missing one of the biggest cultural influences of the modern 20th century film.
That's what I hear. I was gonna pre-order the 4-disc Criterion.
Yeah, Adrian Barbeau cheated out of an Oscar for that.
Boob Bo. I loved him. I mean her.
Best movie, Swamp Thing. You're gonna fall in the water again, Adrian.
Swamp Things. Oh yeah, that was a stereo. Oh, we both were like, oh.
Another story places the point of origin at Mrs. Shroud, who lived in Leeds Point, New Jersey, and she is reported to have said that if she ever had another child after the 12, it would be the devil. And of course, typical. She gave birth to a misshapen child that she kept hidden in her home for years. Then one stormy night, it flapped its arms, which became wings, and flew away out of the chimney.
And thus, Carrot Top was born.
And he would be the perfect guy to cast as that for sure.
Totally.
Hey, have you seen him lately with all the
muscles,
nip and tuck he's gotten?
Oh,
plastic surgery. He is freakish looking.
Really, it's like the Joker and Danny Bonaduce had a transporter accident. It's just horrifying. Talk about
but
cryptids.
I would never say it to his face because he's also into weightlifting.
I know, he would pile drive my head into the street and it would just be crushed like an overripe kumquat instantly. Kind of like Danny Bonaduce too. I wouldn't mess with him either.
And of course, the last story is that a young girl in Leeds Point fell in love with a British soldier around the time of the Revolution. Yada, yada, yada. The child became a monster. Okay, so in 1740, residents begged a priest to come exorcise this creature because it was like pretty much terrorizing the whole place. So from 1736 to 1740, there's not really much documentation of reports of this thing, but obviously enough was happening that they got together and said, get a priest in here and get this thing out of here.
So at this point, there were no really solid, historically verified or affidavits signed or anything from witnesses?
Nothing that I could find, no documentation. The first, after its supposed birth in 1736, the first thing that we hear about this is this priest coming to Leeds Point in 1740 to exorcise it.
Because I do know, we do know that everybody back then was extremely superstitious and paranoid, and everything was the devil at that point. So, just wanted to make sure.
Witch trials and stuff. I don't know if I would say that.
Yeah, those were pretty rational. Yeah. Pretty level-headed bunch of people. Yeah. So, this creature the priest comes to exorcise it, and nothing is affected, right?
He actually says he can exercise it for 100 years. And so he does. He says, be gone. It'll be gone for 100 years, and then he disappears.
Only 100, not 99, not 80, not 101.
I don't know what the rules are. I'd have to, ask the, Father Hayamato at the church I go to.
But if you order 10 gross of my prayer amulets, I can give you 10 years off. For a 10-year bonus extension.
I'm sure it had something to do with the volume of indulgence sales or something in that area.
Who knows?
Anywho, even though this guy did the exorcism in 1778, while firing cannonballs at a test range, Commodore Stephen Decatur is supposed to have spotted an unusually large white creature flying overhead. So what does a famous explorer of his day do?
Wait a minute, white. White.
Yeah.
That's odd.
White.
That's odd. This thing's always described as dark brown or black, right?
Yeah, not this time. There's a couple of them that say white, actually.
Now I'm wondering if there's a Mothman crossover going on here. Possibly. I don't know. Just an idea.
Yeah, it was like the coyote and the dog episode of Bugs Bunny, where he's busy, so he clocked out and Mothman had to fill in for him for a day.
Oh, you mean the sheepdog? Yeah.
Sheepdog. There you go.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was awesome. It's one of the best ever. Warner Brothers.
It's hilarious. So anyway, there's this Commodore Stephen Decatur, one of the most famous explorers of the day, is at this firing range testing cannonballs.
Right, he sees this white thing fly.
Sees this giant white thing. What do you suppose his reaction is?
To fire at it, obviously.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. First thing he does, fires a cannonball at it. It goes through a wing, no effect.
Wow, see that? There you go. It just starts. I know we keep going back to Mothman all the time. I think it's my favorite. Favorite cryptid.
Interesting. I think the Jersey Devil's interesting also.
Oh, it is, but it seems
they're
like
kind of the same thing, really.
Yeah, they keep seeing these parallels, and then the fact that it went through the wing to me is screaming paranormal and not physical. But I think I'm a little biased. I'll admit everyone's biased. Let's just put that out there right now. Everyone's got a bias.
Yeah. I tend to be the same way. Where when I hear about cryptids, in most cases, I think it's something paranormal rather than just some natural thing that we haven't discovered yet.
Right. The only one I think, well, maybe two that are not paranormal to me yet that I don't think of as paranormal would be Bigfoot and the Loch Ness. Those could actually be a real animal, and they don't.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think they're both paranormal.
Even Bigfoot?
Yeah, totally paranormal.
Really?
Yeah. Come on. What are the odds in this day and age with forward-looking radar and crap? We're not going to spot these things out in the woods.
It's a very, very big wilderness, and if there aren't that many of them,
yeah, and
there's hair samples. There's hair samples with.
There are parallels to pandas which weren't discovered until 1952 or something in China.
Right.
So there are parallels, but my gut instinct is that it ain't natural, youngin.
Well,
it just ain't natural.
Well, that freaks me out because I had a Bigfoot encounter experience that we can talk about at another show, probably a show about Bigfoot, preferably. But we're so ADD that we're like jumping all over.
Oh yeah. So back to the point
here.
Let's get back to Decatur and some of other famous people that spotted this thing.
He shoots a cannonball and it goes through the wing, which is weird.
It does nothing. It flies off. So one of Decatur's companions is a guy named Dr. James Killian, probably more famous on the East Coast than over here. He was a famed monster hunter of his time, and he supposedly also saw it when a cannonball got shot through its wing.
Really?
And there's also Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's older brother, is supposed to have spotted the creature while he was hunting on his estate in 1820 in Bordertown, New Jersey.
Wow, I never even heard of that guy. He's like
Bonaparte.
he's like the Ned Beatty, like the loser
like
brother.
Or Billy Carter.
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't say Ned Beatty. He's actually a good actor, but yeah, Billy Carter. Well, then again, Jimmy Carter. Oh my God, let's not go there.
All right, so let's jump ahead to 1840 now. There's a flap of sightings, and the creature is blamed for a series of catamutilations. This also marks the end of the exorcism period.
The exorcism period.
Yeah, remember the priest said 100 years I can get rid of this thing?
Oh yeah, that exorcism period. I was.
Yeah. So as soon as it's over, there's a huge flap with all sorts of small animals, including sheep, small cows. They would just go missing. Sometimes they'd find the remains of the animals, sometimes not. It was also reported that children would sometimes be snatched away, but no remains from those were ever found.
Okay, my little Mothman flag going up again.
Because the same stuff happened with Mothman, too. I mean, it doesn't get widely reported, but there were all sorts of mutilations going on.
And never people. There's rumors, but never.
Yeah, well, with this one, it's rumored that children were snatched away, but I don't know. It just seems that would have caused a lot more controversy if it had really happened.
Yeah, it could just be that they...
It totally sounds like something, you better go to bed, Jimmy, or the Jersey Devil will get you.
Right, exactly. It's just the boogeyman.
And eat your broccoli, too. So a year after the 1840 flap, there's another flap, and this time, same thing. Animals disappearing, and they started finding strange tracks that couldn't be identified. And these are people who actually live by hunting and stuff that can't identify these tracks. So experienced woodsmen have no idea what these tracks are, and all these animals are disappearing.
Oh, that's intriguing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a noodle scratcher there.
Fascinating. Most illogical.
All right, it was spotted again in Haydenfield, New Jersey, this time in 1859.
Wow.
Then in 1873, there was another flap of flying sightings.
And did anybody ever report the wings not moving as it flew?
Not that I saw.
All right, that's another Mothman.
Yeah, that would have been really creepy.
Okay.
But the thing that I found interesting is in these three cases, we have the flaps where there's a lot of activity in a short period of time. It's like exactly like UFO sightings.
Yeah, they come in these waves.
Where they appear one day and then for some reason everybody's seeing them. And I think mass hysteria only goes so far.
Right. No, I agree. It doesn't account for the huge wave that occurs.
Yeah. Now, almost 15 years after that, there's another sighting in 1887, and this time it's just a terrified household. They spotted again a few days afterwards in the woods, and the father shoots at it, but it just flies out without the gunshot having any effect on the thing. And we get to the most interesting sightings of the Jersey Devil, which is in 1909. So we're talking like electric lights and the beginning of automobiles and stuff, trolley cars and elevators. There's a huge flap with thousands of people reporting that they saw this creature during a single week in January.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Thousands of people in 1 week.
Thousands?
Yeah.
And back then, there were a lot less people, and they weren't all densely packed together like now. For thousands of people...
Yes.
That's crazy to say that nothing was really happening.
1909, so you can't really say we're still in the witch burning era.
No. This is the modern era beginning here.
Eh.
That's weird.
So there's a week-long series of people finding strange tracks and seeing this flying creature all around Philadelphia.
Wow. I mean, my great-grandma was 9 years old. I mean, this is, somebody I knew was alive when this was happening.
Yeah, there's reports of it posing to attack people. In one case, it actually attacks a trolley car. In almost all the cases, when the victims fought back, it just flew off.
They fought back, as in physically hit the thing?
Well, okay, let's go. The first case of it, a police officer is doing a patrol in one of the neighborhoods, and he gets this weird feeling and turns around, and he sees this thing in the street, and he's like literally terrified. But being an officer of the law, he can't, lose control like that. So he pulls out his billy club and charges the thing, and
Wow.
it flies off.
Mm-hmm. And wow. Now, I did see a documentary on this thing, several documentaries, but one recently. There's a museum up there near the Barrows. Is that how you say it? Barrows?
Barrens.
Barrens. Wow, why did I forget that? Senility. But there's a museum where they supposedly have physical relics like a skull and tissue and stuff. Now, I don't know if it's been
Weird.
proven to be fake. They had a skull with the full-on curly ram-like horns and everything. But probably fake. I'm
Skeptical.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical about the
It's
skull.
very skeptical. It's interesting. I believe more in these like rumors and hearsay than I do in the physical evidence.
Well, yeah, because the physical stuff always seems to turn up to be phony and forged.
Yeah, totally.
Like the
Yeah, as a matter of
merman.
fact, there's a case of that coming up here pretty quick. So we're still talking about this giant flap in 1909 when thousands of people in Philadelphia saw this thing. And it's like attempting to attack people and attacking trolley cars and all this stuff. The first sighting of it was with Officer James Saxville, who charged at it with his billy club, and then as it flew away, he fired a revolver at it, and then it just vanished.
Wow. Vanished.
Yeah, that starts on Saturday the 16th. Several sightings of this creature with glowing eyes and terrifying shriek flying over Woodbury.
Well, there you go. Terrifying shriek and glowing red eyes.
Yep, there you go. On Sunday the 17th, Bristol's, there are more sightings and strange tracks that would go up trees, jump from one roof to another, and then suddenly stop to reappear in another part of the neighborhood.
Wow. Now, I will note, I don't know how many witnesses said this. One witness, modern witness, did mention that the eyes were self-illuminated, which I find very interesting, very unnatural, and similar to, you guessed it, Mothman.
Yeah, totally.
Self-illuminating eyes do not exist in nature. There's no real practical reason for your eyes to give out light. They're supposed to take in light, so...
Yeah, hard to say at this point because, I mean, this city would have at least had gas lamps at the time, so it could have been reflective, it could have
Yeah.
been self-illuminating. Hard to say. On Monday, the 18th, the next day, in Burlington, tracks were found in paths that defied logic. So again, like, going up one thing, coming down another, that sort of stuff. A huge hunting party was formed, but the dogs refused to follow the tracks.
They refused. Always a bad sign when animals freak out.
No. That's when you go singly into the woods. Everybody splits up and goes a different direction.
Yeah, on the sci-fi original movie with John Rhys
Totally.
Davis. But not in reality unless you're an idiot.
Okay, and then on Tuesday the 20th, so the next day, a couple in Gloucester,
Oh,
I'm probably pronouncing that, which just shows that I'm not from the East Coast at all.
it's Gloucester.
Gloucester, okay. They spot the creature outside their home and at about 2:30 a.m. and they watch it prance around on their woodshed for about 10 minutes.
Okay, prance sounds kind of...
Yeah, but that was the word that was...
I'm fabulous. I'm a diva. I'm the Jersey Devil, and you love it.
And you know what I like about this is just so freaking weird. Why would you, if this thing is terrorizing everybody, why would you make up a story about it dancing around out on your woodshed?
Well, prance can mean just sort of like a
Like a
bird.
chicken thing, I
Yeah,
guess.
like just walking around, not necessarily doing a
So
dance.
finally, after about 10 minutes of watching it, the couple work up the courage to open their windows and yell at it, which has the effect of shooing it away.
It actually goes away.
Yeah, it flies off. On Wednesday the 20th, the next day, a Burlington police officer spots the creature, saying it was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Posses were formed in Haydenfield and Collingswood to hunt the creature, but these groups never spotted anything. There were also some sightings on that day in Moorestown, which, I'm not from the area, so I can't really say. On the next day, Thursday the 21st, the creature attacked a trolley car in Haydenfield, but was chased off by the passengers on the trolley car.
The passengers?
Eh.
I don't think I'd be chasing it off. I think I'd be hiding under the seats.
They said the trolley car actually hit it, too.
Wow.
I know, totally wacky, just completely ridiculous. The trolley car hits it, nothing happens to it, like it barely notices. And then the passengers all pile out and chase the thing off, which is the exact opposite thing I would do if I saw a train hitting, this big weird creature.
And what year is this?
1909.
Wow. I can just see some rinky-dink, Harold Lloyd silent comedy all sped up and people like jumping out of the trolley and chasing this thing around the trolley car with little umbrellas trying to hit it.
Now, on this same day, farmers reported there were chicken mutilations, and one woman's dog was attacked by it. She came out with a broom and chased the thing off, and then took the dog inside and called the police, which means, telephones at the time.
Yeah.
By the time the police arrived, a crowd of about 100 people had gathered in the neighborhood, and they witnessed it shrieking from a nearby hill. The police emptied their revolvers at it, and it just flew off. No effect.
Per usual.
Yeah, but really weird story. I mean, we have no idea what the distance of the hill is, how far they were from it. But a really bizarre story. I mean, 100 people, and the police reporting that 100 people saw this thing and were pointing it out to them is just kind of weird.
That is.
Okay, and then we get to Friday. This is the most interesting day. So Friday is the last day of the sightings, but by this time, most of the residents of New Jersey refused to leave their homes, even in broad daylight. The people of Philadelphia as well absolutely refused to send their kids to school for fear that this thing would get them. People refused to go to their jobs, so a lot of businesses were closed.
Totally.
And this is actually reported in the newspapers, so there's actual, documented factual evidence of the effects that these people were experiencing. I mean, that they weren't, they were so scared they weren't leaving their homes, which is a pretty intense case of mass hysteria.
Yes, it is. That's crazy.
And then after that, there's like more modern sightings, but they're not nearly as good as that big flap. In 1951, there was a 2-day flap called the Invasion of Gibbsboro. Strange rotting corpse was found in 1957 that vaguely resembled the creature. A lot of people said that, this is proof it's finally dead, but of course sightings continued. In 1966, one farmer reported having many animals killed, ducks, geese, cats, etc. And the interesting thing about that year is that's also when the UFO mutilations were going on, I believe, 1966, through the Midwest.
Oh, was there a big wave of UFOs in 1966 in the Midwest?
I don't know. I could have sworn. Maybe it was the 1970s.
I mean, Mothman was 1966, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wasn't it 1968, I thought?
No.
In 1987, an aggressive German Shepherd that was chained up was found torn apart and gnawed on.
Wow.
Around its corpse were tracks that nobody could identify. In 1991, a pizza delivery driver encountered a white creature with a horse-like head.
White? I never heard this.
Yeah, and then the most recent sightings have been in 2007 near Freehold in Moorestown, and the very last sighting was in 2008 in Litchfield, Pennsylvania.
Wow. That's bizarre. And again, I think of Mothman. There were physical descriptions that all didn't mesh. There was dark brown, there was gray, there was white.
Yeah, well, that goes along with the problem when people that aren't trained to be observers report things under duress. They get facts kind of wacky and backwards and wrong. Happens all the time in like plane crashes. People report that the engines were on fire. They saw it smoking before it hit the ground, when that's just obviously not the case, and nothing other witnesses say that it definitely wasn't on fire or smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So people fill in the blanks, from their memories.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I don't know. I just wondered if it was evidence of more than one creature or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. I find the whole 1909 flap really interesting. I mean, that this thing could come and cause such fear and panic that the whole city would practically shut down.
Yeah, that it could have that effect is incredible. That's powerful stuff. Powerful
In addition
fear.
to that, the Philadelphia Zoo posted $1 million reward for anybody that could capture the creature, dead or alive.
And needless to say, nobody succeeded in getting the reward.
No, but there were some hoaxes where people tried to attach wings to kangaroo corpses.
Which would kind of look like the descriptions.
Yeah, I guess so, now that you think about it.
It is kind of a weird kangaroo-ish bat kangaroo freak.
I don't know. I find the whole thing fascinating. I love the history of it going back 300 years. I mean, I think the origin stories are obviously crap, but that people would keep seeing the same things in this one area is just kind of interesting.
Now, it's unlike the other Mothman stuff. There's no apparent witnesses of this thing anywhere else in the country or world. It's just in that localized region.
I don't know. Maybe they call them other things in other areas. I mean, who knows? Who knows that Mothman and this thing aren't like related or the same thing?
Well, the physical description is definitely markedly different. I mean, where you've got the hooves and you've got the horse-like face, which is consistently described, whereas Mothman is just eyes, and there's no
glowing eyes and flying. If I heard just one case that said it flew without flapping its wings, I would think bingo.
Yeah, that would be another.
Definitely same phenomena. Whatever that phenomena is, it's definitely causing the same effect.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know.
So 2000 and
just weird, really weird.
Last sighting is 2008.
Yeah. I mean, there may have been more since then, but I didn't see any.
Well, I'm glad I've never seen it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. If it's keeping a distance, I don't think it would be that bad. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want it doing the whole Mothman thing of landing on the hood.
Well, the witnesses I saw on one documentary, which was a new documentary, they saw it, and it was two sets of witnesses, and they were both very, very afraid the instant they saw it, and they just wanted to run.
Well, see, that's another thing that I think kind of links this to Mothman, is that it has that shriek that causes fear.
Yeah, that is a similarity.
All the reports that I read about Mothman, it sounded like completely irrational. Well, I don't know how irrational it is, but it caused fear in anybody that looked at it. And I'm not going to say you shouldn't be afraid of some 7-8 foot tall monster with wings and giant glowing eyes.
Yeah, ordinarily I'd want to just go give it a hug.
Yeah, it's trying to communicate with us.
It wants to be my friend. It's lonely. Bizarre.
Yeah. So that's the Jersey Devil. Now we get to the fun skeptics portion. And
Welcome.
Can you guess what the number one explanation for this thing is?
Oh, this ought to be comedy gold.
No, give it a shot.
Okay, number one explanation. Not the Sandhill Crane again.
Bingo!
You're kidding. The same as Mothman. Oh, boy.
Dude, exactly the same as Mothman. Sandhill Crane, number one on a skeptics report.
Oh, brother.
Because, in 1909, thousands of people are so afraid of a crane that they're going to keep their kids in.
Yeah, and your trolley is going to hit a Sandhill Crane on a city street, and they're not going to get a good enough look to see that it's just a Sandhill Crane, which would be killed by a trolley, by the way.
Yeah, and a police officer confronted by one, yards away, is not going to recognize what a crane looks like.
Yeah, and several cops aren't going to empty their revolvers on a Sandhill Crane.
But yes, Sandhill Crane, the number one explanation for what this could be.
Just ridiculous. Laughable.
Okay, number two explanation, unidentified flying bird species.
Unidentified flying bird species.
Yeah, something that hasn't been identified yet. But then again, once again, we have all the same problems with the Sandhill Crane.
Well, and then there's hooves, and there's the red eyes, and
Yeah.
horse-like head. And what's strange to me is it actually sounds more like a bat with the horse-like head. There are fruit bats that look a lot like Jersey Devils. If you look at fruit bats, and you can even Google one, I'm going to do it right now. Yeah. Some of these species of fruit bats have a goofy-looking Jersey. Well, some of them do. Other ones look like foxes. But yeah, some of them look a lot like the Jersey Devil that I saw in a special effects artist created based on witnesses.
Yeah, but what's the wingspan of a fruit bat?
They're the biggest bats in the world, so their wingspan might be... I'd have to look. I think it's quite large. But what is the Jersey Devil wingspan again?
No idea, but it's supposed to be like 6 or 7 feet tall.
Just the creature, not the wingspan.
Yeah, exactly. Which means the wingspan, I mean, if they realistically work, is probably like 15 feet, I guess.
Yeah, the fruit bats have a maximum wingspan of maybe 6 feet tops.
Really? I didn't realize they were that giant.
But fruit bats are tropical. They don't live
the-
in New Jersey in the cold. They just don't.
Then you get into the whole argument about the wooded owl with Mothman, of like, oh, they just saw an owl, and these farmers and people that live out in the wilderness couldn't determine, whether a 2-foot owl was really 8 feet tall.
That's, yeah. You get into these problems with the skeptical explanation, the debunking, where the scales never seem to work. And then the animal mutilations aren't counted for.
Yeah. Now, another thing that skeptics have come up with, and this is awesome, actually. Some have said it might be a pterosaur or a dimorphodon, which are both prehistoric creatures that have somehow survived.
Dimorphodon.
Yeah.
What is a dimorphodon?
I don't know. Look it up right now.
I'm looking that sucker up. Oh.
Oh, that's good.
We'll hold. Yeah, the dimorphodon looks a lot like, quite similar to some of the drawings I've seen of the Jersey Devil. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
skeptics may be right. A dinosaur survived all this time to terrorize the people of Philadelphia.
But it's not hoofed, and it's consistent that they say there are hoof prints left behind, and that dinosaur didn't have hooves. So, I don't think so.
All right, the last one is really good. This is the best skeptic case. Is this outdoorsman named Tom Brown Jr. claims that when he covered himself in mud to repel mosquitoes, people mistook him for the Jersey Devil.
He must be one seriously messed up dude.
Where did the wings come from?
Yeah.
What about the cloven hooves?
A guy covered in mud for 300 years.
I'm the Jersey Devil, damn it!
I'm the Jersey Devil. I've been alive for 300 years, hanging, covering myself with mud.
Man.
So that's the explanations, huh? Pretty feeble.
Yeah, those are the ones at the top of the list, actually.
Well,
I mean, no different than the, the weasel or the otter for Loki.
Yeah, Nessie.
Loki.
Locky.
Loki's her half-brother.
What is your take on this? Para or cryptid?
Well, you know how I feel about the mass hysteria explanation for everything. I can't fathom that people in 1909, an era when we're at the cusp of this huge, revolution in technology, that they'd all be such saps and such superstitious dolts in a major city like Philadelphia that they would succumb to rumors and stuff without, having seen something.
Well,
thousands of eyewitnesses, for God's sake.
Two events come to mind. Orson Welles' radio production of War of the Worlds and the Leprechaun over in Detroit or wherever that was.
The what?
Oh, the ghetto Leprechaun.
What the hell is this?
Well, you didn't see that? That's a recent thing where a bunch of people... Now, I don't remember I think it's Detroit, but it's an inner city, kind of a ghetto neighborhood, and it was every witness I saw was a black witness, but it was like in the ghetto because the people were very ghetto, if you know what I mean, and the witnesses were all convinced they could see a leprechaun in this tree, and it kind of became like a mass hysteria thing where the whole area, there were hundreds of people coming to this area and saying, I think I can see it, sort of like the the seeing Mary in a piece of toast kind of a thing.
No. So there was an image of a leprechaun in a tree.
No, not an image. Like they thought there was an actual leprechaun in the tree.
Get out of
I'm
here.
not kidding. And you can YouTube this for laughs. I recommend it. But these people were sincere.
Mobile, Alabama.
Is it Alabama?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I thought it was Detroit, but maybe it's the whole ghetto thing. It just looked like an inner city of the East Coast, but so it's Mobile, Alabama.
That's what they're saying.
So in Mobile, Alabama, yeah, they thought that it was a leprechaun. And then there's the War of the Worlds, which was based on nothing but a radio show, and yet there was widespread panic. But that's different, though. I mean, the War of the Worlds thing is different because that's based on what would be a reputable source. Especially if you missed the announcement that it's only a drama. I mean, you hear it on the radio, you're gonna think it's real.
Yeah, well.
So it's not about imagining that you see something. It's about having the radio tell you it's happening like it's news.
Yeah.
So,
and, this goes back to, I guess, broader beliefs of mine that UFOs really aren't what most ufologists think they are. The aliens visiting from another planet. It's like, I personally think that it's, some field, something interacting with people that causes them to see what they think is a UFO. It could be the same thing here, where this field, this presence, this whatever it is, this natural phenomena is affecting people, and so they think that they see Jersey Devil.
But we have physical interactions, and we have vehicles hitting it, and hoof prints, and animal mutilations.
Yeah, this is true.
So again, it seems that a lot of these paranormal things have aspects of the immaterial, ethereal quality, but also material.
Yeah, thousands of people seeing this. I can't for a second buy that, it's just hysteria. That doesn't sit well with me.
No, it doesn't. And again, you have law enforcement involved who aren't typically so gullible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and military people.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the very old days.
Yeah. The Decatur and his pal, the Monster Hunter.
The Monster Hunter.
An honest profession back in days of yore. Between witch burnings, you'd go monster hunting.
Now it's just some douche who shops at Hot Topic and takes steroids and invites ghosts to fight him on Sci-Fi.
He actually asks ghosts to wrestle with him?
Well, not physically, but you never seen that ghost, whatever. I don't even remember the name of the show now. People out there will know. He's a complete douche. I think most of the paranormal
You're not talking
TV
about ghost hunters, are you?
Well, it's not the plumber and the bald guy and the other. No. This is the muscle guy with the tight shirts. He's like pseudo Hot Topic gothish kind of guy that
I have no idea.
Clearly thinks he's really cool, and he will go and basically, threaten these ghosts. Come on, I'm right here. Like to try and provoke them to reveal themselves. It's really lame. I think most of those TV shows are quite lame, actually, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are scripted, in my opinion. They just, I don't know. I'm tired of people with night vision cameras walking around saying, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" I mean, it's almost as bad as little kids just walking around in the woods after hearing ghost stories, and they hear a twig snap. "Did you hear that?" And they almost never have any evidence. Sometimes, occasionally they get good EVPs. Sometimes on those ghost ones, but boy, I don't know. I watched a marathon once of ghost hunters, and I wasn't too impressed most of the time. It was, I mean, you're watching a whole show, and you get maybe 5 seconds of something compelling, and the rest of it is just people bumbling around with night vision cameras saying, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?"
Yeah, sadly, that's pretty much how I would imagine it to be, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was really, if you could go out for an hour and get like an hour of wacky footage, there'd be no question about the reality existence of them.
Yeah. I don't know. They don't do a whole lot for me. I miss the more serious, clinical, well-researched shows like In Search of or Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. Shows like that rather than the reality TV type stuff that's on now so much. As far as I know, I don't think there are any like really good, serious paranormal shows.
Sci-Fi had one a few years back, maybe 5 years back, where they would take 3 stories and do a little research on them and then pick the one that they thought was most real.
Oh, okay. I didn't get to see that, whatever that one was.
And it was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, like I said, now there just seems the market seems to be flooded with a lot of kind of cheesy stuff. What's that British one?
I have no idea.
That one seemed particularly bad.
Nah, I've been watching Ghost Hunter Academy lately.
Okay, so that's the Apprentice, the Paranormal Apprentice, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it's just one step away from the paranoid or paranormal real world, where they ask a ghost and a vampire and a chupacabra to live together.
Your EVP recording was miserable. You're fired. So, yeah. I guess you're not really certain about the Jersey Devil then.
I put it in there with the UFO sightings. I mean, I'm skeptical, but I'm not willing to dismiss it outright.
I think it's definitely something happening, and I don't. I just find it hard to believe that it's just a physical animal.
No, I'm totally with you on that. I'm skeptical that it really is like some entity of evil, prancing around like the deviled ham guy on a can of Spam. But I think that there's something at work there. I don't know if it's a natural phenomena that makes people think they see this thing, or if it's an apparition of some sort that causes people to see it in that way. But I'm not willing to buy into actual monster that's been living for 300 years dancing around out in the woods.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. It just doesn't.
Nor am I willing to buy a Sandhill Crane.
Right. So again, I think this is how we lately have been ending these shows, with basically thinking that something real is happening and we don't think it's physical or a fraud. We think it's something really happening.
Yeah. No, that absolutely describes it 100%. Like, something's happening. I don't know that it's purely physical, and I don't think it's complete fraud.
I would have to agree. One of these times we're going to violently disagree. It'll be much more interesting, but...
Maybe the Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle. Yes.
Nobody ever talks about that anymore.
For now, our journey has ended, and we return you to the world of the mundane. Until next time, when we beckon you once again from beyond the veil into the realm of the unconventional. Unconventional.